Okay, this is the situation in Dark Valley, the full East Front campaign 1941 to 1945. This is the end of turn 2. Again, the Germans are continuing to push forward. They've pocketed a few units around Minsk and destroyed them. They also pocketed some units around Lau or Lvov or whatever you call it, and but there are some Soviet units still surviving in that area. Russians have made a strategic withdrawal here in Romania to try and get a solid defensive line, which leaves the Romanian front units to advance into that open gap. The Germans didn't make a great deal of progress here just in front of Kiev due to the large numbers of Soviet tank corps concentrated in that area. They've whittled them down with some attacks and some aerial bombardment, but they've also taken quite a few casualties in this area due to Soviet counterattacks using armour. Up into the far north, the front's sort of collapsing, so Soviet reinforcements are going to have to concentrate on plugging the gaps on the approaches up towards the Gulf of Finland and ultimately Leningrad. We've got German progress in the centre here around Minsk. Well, we've captured Riga, we've crossed the Dvina, 2 places. We're also heading towards Visbek and Smolensk, but we're probably slightly behind schedule where we were going historically. We've still got a lot of formation pulls and stuff that will give us an advantage over the Soviets. Soviet forces in the centre area, there's still quite a lot of these very weak Soviet divisions in this area, and they should be able to use them as firefighting units to plug the gaps. They're hoping for a decent amount of reinforcements coming in this turn, which they are. All those units there and that bit and all that row there, plus a couple of headquarters, which is going to give the Soviets a lot more strategic capabilities. Germans on turn 2 get very little. Sorry, on turn 3 get very little in the way of units. It's just a Hungarian and a very weak German unit. In the eliminated boxes, there's quite a lot of German units, not particularly strong units, that have been destroyed in the fighting. A lot of it down south due to Soviet counterattacks, but the piles of Soviet units that have been destroyed there, these are the rebuildable ones, and there's also a big pile in there of ones that can't be rebuilt. Ones that can't be rebuilt are the ones with black dots at the top left, like that one there, can't be rebuilt. All in all, it's looking okay for the Germans, but this is trouble with the Eastern Front. It's a bit of an illusion because the front can harden up quite quickly as the Soviets get a lot more reinforcements coming in. The Soviets don't get many replacements. They've got these blue hex things here that generate their replacement factors, 5 for each blue hex. Those are used to buy Soviet replacements. German system works slightly different. It works on the basis of steps, so you get a certain number of steps available which you can use to buy from your destroyed pool here. You can also rebuild German units. Use it by using your replacements directly onto the unit in question. Don't think you can do that for Soviets. I'd have to check that though. But the Soviet replacement route factor system doesn't come into effect till turn 5 anyway. The Soviets in the early game will depend on getting lots and lots of units mobilised, reserve units mobilised, and eventually even units they'll be pulling from the Far East. Okay, that's the end of the summary of the turn 2.